Being a One Piece fan, I'm pretty sure all of us have wondered what if Goldie Roger, the Pirate King, was still alive in the current timeline? This raises countless questions, including Luffy becoming a pirate and Ace's future. Well, you don't have to worry about these things, since we've got you covered. We've gathered some interesting theories regarding this, and without any further ado, let's dive right into it. We all know that Roger's announcement regarding the One Piece's existence right before his execution completely changed the world. This resulted in the beginning of the new pirate era, and ultimately led to Luffy becoming a pirate as well. Well, in this scenario, Roger won't publicly announce the existence of the One Piece to the world, and there won't be any pirate era. Considering that, Luffy won't ever meet Shanks and aspire to become the Pirate King. Keeping this in mind, Roger is still alive in this scenario. We all know how adventurous and daring Roger is. There's a massive possibility that he would continue being a pirate and lead his crew to more adventures. With his knowledge of the ancient writings, Roger and his crew would discover some more secrets of this world. Even though Roger had already ventured across the world, he would still seek more adventure to make his life even more thrilling. He might as well travel to the moon if he gets the opportunity. Besides this, Roger was already one of the strongest pirates, and the only person that could rival him was Whitebeard. We know how both of them fought for 3 entire days on the Grand Line, and their legendary battle ended in a draw. However, during that battle, Roger was already quite sick and wasn't utilizing his full potential. Now, if Roger was not sick, he would have surely defeated Whitebeard, and been recognized as the strongest pirate to ever exist. Moreover, I personally believe that Roger would go up against the world government as well at some point. We all know that Roger is not your average evil pirate who just wants to take over the world. After learning the history of this world and what happened in the Void Century, Roger would definitely decide to take down the world government and might as well become the leader of this revolution. His influence and status as the Pirate King would completely change the course of this world. Pirates from all over the world, including Whitebeard, will also join him in this cause, and there would be a massive war that would influence the entire world. Another interesting thing I would like to mention here is that Roger would also raise Ace as his son and give him the love he deserves. The fact that Ace hated his father and considered him a criminal always bothered me. However, in this timeline, it would be completely different, since Ace would live with his father and his crew. Well, I assume that this scenario would end with Roger defeating the world government. In the previous theory, we assumed that Luffy would just rot in his village and do nothing. Well, things are slightly different in this scenario. The next 2 theories would revolve more around Luffy and his adventures. In this case, Roger would still announce the existence of One Piece to the entire world and proclaim himself as the Pirate King. The Great Pirate Era would begin, and pirates from all around the globe would come up to challenge Roger and claim his treasure and become the Pirate King. In this timeline, Luffy would not get inspired by Shanks since he doesn't have his own crew and is still a member of Roger's crew. In this case, I would like to believe that Luffy would be raised by his father, Monkey D. Dragon, instead of Garp, because the old man would be too busy chasing after Roger that he probably wouldn't even care about his grandson. Even though Luffy won't be getting that Gomu Gomu no Mi in the beginning, since there's no Shanks in this scenario who would bring the Devil Fruit to a remote island and allow a literal child to consume it. Instead of this, the Revolutionary Army would get a hold of the Devil Fruit, and Luffy would most probably consume it like the original anime. Luffy would learn a lot of different techniques, including observation and armament haki from Dragon, and some other stuff as well, like Fishman Karate. He would also get some help mastering his Devil Fruit abilities from the members of the Revolutionary Army, who already have Devil Fruit powers. He would also be joined by Sabo, who would be rescued by Dragon like the original timeline, and both of them will become close friends real quick. In this timeline, Luffy would also get some education regarding the world government, and learn everything about the nobles and stuff like that. Considering that, Luffy would develop an intense hatred for the world government, and we might as well see a more mature version of Luffy. Now, this is where things get interesting. Since Roger is still alive, he knows everything about the secrets of the world and what happened during the Void Century, just like the previous theory. There's a massive possibility that Dragon would join Roger in his quest to take down the world government, and since Luffy is a member of the Revolutionary Army, he would come across Ace and Roger as well. Roger and Dragon would plan an entire revolution against the world government, and gather pirates from all around the globe to assist. This would lead to an all-out war, where Luffy would awaken his Devil Fruit. All this time, Luffy has been training under veteran Devil Fruit users, including Dragon himself, and after meeting up with Roger's crew, Luffy might as well receive some training from Rayleigh and the others. The final war will result in the world government falling and justice prevailing. In the previous theory, we've discovered the possibility that Luffy would still end up becoming a pirate after joining his father. However, in this theory, things are a lot different. I mentioned in the previous theory that Garp would ignore Luffy, owing to the fact that Roger is still alive, and the Great Pirate Era has begun. For this theory, we'll consider the possibility that Garp would actually force Luffy to become a Marine. Well, it won't be that easy for him to convince someone like Luffy who enjoys freedom. Garp would keep pursuing Luffy to become a Marine, but Luffy won't heed his request. Despite this, Garp keeps training Luffy so he can fight for himself. After all this, Luffy finally changes his decision when he witnesses some pirates ravaging his hometown, just because they want to impress Goldie Roger, who's actually the Pirate King. This would ignite something inside of him and his hatred for pirates would skyrocket. As a child, Luffy had always been hearing stories about Marines and how they've been saving the world. This incident further ignites Luffy's passion to become a Marine. After this, Luffy contacts his grandfather Garp and informs him about his decision, which makes the old man insanely happy. Garp takes Luffy with him and exposes him to some hellish training. Since Luffy doesn't have a devil fruit, Garp teaches him everything about Haki, including armament Haki and observation Haki. In the meantime, Marine Luffy would also awaken his Conqueror's Haki. After spending some time with Garp, Luffy would become a captain and decide to venture the world on his own. He wants to learn the reality of pirates and the world on his own. Now, this is where things get interesting. On his journey, Luffy would eventually come across his father, Dragon. Initially, he would hate his father for going against the world government, because he had been brainwashed by Garp and the other Marines. However, after some time with them, Luffy would learn the reality of this world and how messed up the world actually is. Dragon also realizes Luffy's potential, and decides to give him the Gomu Gomu no Mi they had stolen from the world government. Luffy refuses to accept the fruit, but Garp basically forces it down his throat. With this, Luffy now possesses the devil fruit again. Well, he was quite overpowered even without the devil fruit because Garp was training him personally, and he had them genes in him as well. Now that he possesses the devil fruit as well, Luffy's strength is off the charts. His progress with the devil fruit would be quite smooth owing to his Haki training. After meeting with his father and gaining the devil fruit, Luffy now decides to join the Revolutionary Army and learn more about the world. Dragon further informs Luffy that Roger is the only person who can tell him everything about the Void Century, which is the truth. Upon hearing this, Luffy decides to personally meet Roger and ask him about the Void Century and the truth about this world. Dragon attempts to stop him, stating that his reputation as a Marine might put him in danger. But being the person he is, Luffy insists and eventually reaches Roger. The Pirate King immediately recognizes him as Garp's grandson and treats him with care. Luffy also comes across Ace and quickly becomes friends with him. Roger, on the other hand, tells Luffy everything about the history of this world. With this, Luffy decides to aid the Revolutionary Army to end the world government and even convinces Roger to help him. With this, the Revolutionary Army and the Roger Pirates go to war with the world government, and things would proceed quite similarly to the previous scenario, with Luffy awakening his devil fruit and winning the war. Well, this raises some other questions as well, like, why wasn't Roger acting against the world government if he knew the truth? But I guess we can talk about them in some other video. That's it, folks. Let me know in the comments which theory was your favorite, and if you want to add anything else.